Hello, Drifters. Welcome in. Thank you so much for all of these resubs and follows and cheers. I do appreciate it. However, I will probably not be individually thanking people, and I've turned off further hype trains for today. We also do not have alerts, as a heads up. Today's game is a little bit heavier, but I felt it was important to play. So, that being said, as I stated before, thank you for the support. But that is not particularly what today's stream is about. This is a game called The Beginner's Guide. It was made by Davey Wreden, who also made the Stanley Parable, which I'm sure most of you have heard of. Give me just 1 second to change something that I'm noticing is a little bit off. If you've seen this game before, it's definitely one that you may need to take breaks for. If you do, don't feel bad about it. Make sure you have some water on hand. And yeah, let's play. Hang on a moment. I may have to restart the game. There we go. Okay.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing The Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Wreden. I wrote The Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned,
I'd like to quickly add as well, since this is very story heavy, I may be a lot quiet, just so that nothing gets missed.
Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
I have a gun?
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
I'm traveling through this space station, it seems. The Whisper machine is active. Oh, I can shoot the gun. That's alright. I do believe I've forgotten a lot about this game.
It kind of looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets. But ultimately we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Enemy force neutralized. Begin shooting activation.
Oh, I'm out of bullets.
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
Oh. There it is. The bottom of the universe.
Apparently this space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
Oh. Well, that's useful.
Okay, this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the Whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering the Whisper Machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
So let's try that again.
The beam causes you to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it, like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
November 2008 was what that said. Don't seem to be able to move. Oh, there we go.
Yep. In this game, you can only walk backwards.
Okay. Past was behind her. But the
So
future
it's a
could not be
short
seen.
and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is
Why
less
does the future
advanced
keep
than the
changing?
previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
When she stops and looks, it becomes clearer. But if the future is always behind her, how will she find the strength to confront it?
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
Again, November 2008. You are now entering. Entering what?
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting. Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games. I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, like, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
Everything is getting very slow as you're climbing the stairs.
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
Well, I've pressed enter. We are. Stand on an X staring at a bear for 3 hours, a game of only posters and concept art showing what the game is intended to be. You play as a loud, bodiless sound walking around confusing people. A series of lavish manuals come with the game, giving you incorrect instructions on how to play,
And filled with little ideas
lest you
for
to
days.
surrender. Read an enemy's emails to learn how to beat them. Sharks are trying to eat you. Simultaneously, you are trying to eat the sharks.
Coda would often tell me
Construct
that
a
he didn't
wall.
mind if
The wall
people
is
thought of him
destroyed.
as cold
You are
or
given a medal.
distant. He said that he knew that
stranger
he was actually
appears.
a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
A button you press to stop the chaos that doesn't work. January 2009.
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it. Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon. We're gonna see
These
it a
3
lot.
dots here.
So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve a puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. All right, now I'm going to modify the game again so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
Goes on for infinity.
How about that? There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
Back to January 2009. You are now exiting.
Aha. So, this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the Stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
March 2009. The Great and Lovely Descent.
Let's talk about video game development for a second. Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development. To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well. The tools available to the creator
just goes on
shape
forever.
what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games, to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
This doesn't seem like linear boxy corridors anymore. I don't even know if I'm going the right way. Would assume so. Seems to be the only way to go is down. from here. Balls are getting a little longer. We are at the bottom. Okay. This is very different than the coffee shop that was above here. We're now going through these metal gates. Now we're going up. And into the cell.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that. This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't.
But they were playable. So they did fulfill the request. Those 3 dots again.
It's the puzzle again, with the exact same solution as the last time. There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
You there, did you come from up above? What was up there?
Coda begins using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
There was a world stamped with whiteness, there was an enormous prison I spent hours in, there were these floating colored blocks. Well, all of those are true. That's the world above, you've been there. Now this is important. Did you have to get through a puzzle with 2 doors and switches? I did. That was literally the last thing I did before coming here. No, I don't remember having to go through any puzzle, or I'd prefer not to tell you. After all, we've only just met. But you don't understand. We are trapped here. That puzzle is our only escape. We need to get through it. You think you want to get through, but trust me, you don't. Let me describe it for you. Let me tell you all about what is over there. Or alright, I will tell you how to solve it. No, that isn't possibly enough. I need to actually be there. I cannot simply be told what it is. I must see it myself. I must escape this prison. There must be an ending. I understand. I too think there should be endings. Hello, how did you get here? Was there a puzzle you had to pass through? Yes, do you want to know how to solve it, or no, I've been right here this entire time? No, we actually find the black space between the doors to be far more interesting. Have you seen it yet? Why would I care about the space between the doors? Actually, now that you mention it, I remember feeling strange as I passed through it, or I don't recall a space between the doors. There's a reason, but it may take time before you understand. Which is fine. You'll see it again soon. Now we're going down
And so we
a
make
lot of
one last
stairs.
descent down to the final floor of the level. It's a lamppost. Okay, I can't tell you quite why, but for some reason Coda fixates on this lamppost. It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here on out. I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, and maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long. Because now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something. He wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination.
It is.
We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them. And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
April 2009. This game is connected to the internet. As you walk around, you can leave notes. All notes you see are left by other players. Nice room, not?
So first off, I'm sure you can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're going to see have been written by Coda. This was actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person. In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too pushy, trying to get his attention. I was over-enthusiastic. But he was very gracious about it, and
That's a
very
lot of
patient
whys.
with me. And I cooled off eventually. Oh, feel free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them. Either way, to me they convey a sense of loneliness. I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and
There's a
has
lot of
no
them.
way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played. But it's ironic, isn't it, that in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him. And I have to be honest with you, this idea is really seductive to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing. I could just get to know you through your work. I think this is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world. And then I feel less lonely too.
I refuse to believe. I'm not going to read all of these. I will read several of them. I help people because of the internal good feeling I get. New room. Scared of writing something, don't want to feel judged. I would very much like to be desired. I am compelled. I failed to write anything. Take my hand, let's jump together. What is that painting? I think it's nice. Next time I will do better. I need someone to talk to. This is a note? Don't listen to the other notes. I'm not safe. What does it mean? Whoever made this has issues. Help, I am trying to speak. I think it's about how things look messy from up close and perfect from far away. Art. From up here, it just looks like dots. Maybe I'll feel real someday. Well, I'm here now. There must be a reason for it, though. His terrible secret, he kept it well. I beat the game. More room?
At the end of this level, we're going to see the puzzle again. And here, I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means. Each of these games represents an idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it. And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one. In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution, he understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on. And because there's this dark area between the doors, a space between spaces, before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. To step back and connect the pieces together. To grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
How do you leave notes? I think that person figured it out. Are you there? Please say something. It can be anything. I just need you to say something. Talk to me, please. Why are you having so much difficulty talking? Speak, 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 speak. May to June 2009.
Okay, this one is tough. It's gonna kinda just spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it.
This is quite the corridor.
See, this is it. The whole game. And there's nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway.
And then you're at the bottom of the well.
Coda gets really fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture. And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else. Okay, cool. Here's version 2.
What furniture ought to go in the center of the room? A TV with surround sound, a refrigerator, or put a giant hole in the ground? That's not what I asked for. Now what about along the wall of the room? Let's put a huge picture of a horse. I'd really like a washing machine or 10 stoves lined up along the wall. Those are not washing machines. I think we should light up this room a bit. A skylight, full ceiling window. Let's open this baby up. I'm thinking 10 by 12 recessed electric 6-inch soft LED ceiling lights with fluorescent trim. We'll put live Tesla coils in each corner. Yeah. That is just a lamp. And a table. You need a table. We have a table. Who are you? Where exactly are you doing this from? I'm pretty sure none of my choices are making any difference, or tables were invented in 1935.
There's a bit more to this one, but still, it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just weird for weirdness' sake.
Now we are in a labyrinth of
Okay,
furniture.
He throws it out and starts over. This time
IKEA?
he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
Please walk forward. This guide will enable you to escape any prison environment. Follow the instructions carefully. Take care that you remember each step. First, click on this table. Good. Go over to the photo frame and click to turn it slightly. The 3 dots again. Now turn the floor lamp in this room off, then turn it back on. Now go to the left side sofa. Move it over a little. Finally, touch the shelves. That's it. In a real prison, the escape will now open. Return to the start to be taken back to your prison. And so now we have to escape.
And of course, now the table is gone and you can't begin the chain of events to escape.
There's also no painting on the wall.
Here's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside and the outside is the inside. Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen of them. Personally, I think it's awful to watch this. To see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on? But Coda doesn't have that voice telling you to stop, that particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going, and then he hits on something. And he likes it. And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons. This is the very last version of the prison game that he created. And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
No prison. There's the lamppost again. Hello? Who is this? Hey, it's me. I'm you from after you escaped the prison. You're me? So you were trapped in this prison too? Yep, I was in the furniture maze. Yep, I was in the escape tutorial. Or yep, I was in the reverse prison.
What Coda wants is to be able to talk to someone, to share what's on his mind, and to get some good advice.
That's where I am
from
right
someone
now.
who knows.
I'm so glad to know that I get out
But
eventually.
even in this scenario, you're still
What's it like to escape?
You know, all of these games so far are Coda talking to himself.
It's strange, but in a way I kind of miss being in the prison. Was there anything about it that you felt good about? Being here sucks. Maybe I only like things once I don't have them anymore. It was comfortable, I knew its limits, I knew my place. But don't you feel excited about getting out? The promise of freedom? Is that good, though? It's comfortable, but it's inhuman. I couldn't live this way. You don't need to, you just need to be patient. Having limits is way more important than you probably realize right now. You'll see what I'm talking about when you've been there for a while longer. Wait, if you're me, then did you get a call from another version of you when you were trapped? Then can you tell me how to get out? Maybe I can come find you. What do I have to do? To get out, all you have to do is be sincere. To get out, you need to tell me how you feel right now. To get out, just talk with me for a bit. What? That will free me? How does that work? Listen, you can't know until you're out, but I promise it works. Just be sincere. It will make sense. Sincere about what? That's exactly what you need to figure out in order to escape.
I can see why he considers this a fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay. Wouldn't that be nice?
August 2009.
So what would it look like if Coda wanted to make a game about talking to someone other than himself? To me, this environment is meant to represent Coda's puzzle, with the two doors on either side and a dark transitional space between.
Well, my goodness, I'm glad as all heck that you showed up. Thought I might be having to clean this entire house all by myself, and right miserable that would have been. Everyone knows Lonesome Hand makes lousy homes. Don't worry about me. A place this nice, I'll be glad to stay here all night.
That the quality of the art is a step up from previous games, including this new and improved chat system, which he started using from this point on. From here on out, he begins putting much more effort into the visual polish of his work, and this particular game took 2 months to create as a result.
That's the table I want to see. Run into the bedroom and make the bed. While you're in there, why don't you straighten out the rug a bit? All the little details matter. You enjoy being a house cleaner? How'd you end up doing this job? Or it's been a long time since I've seen a house this messy. Well, I don't enjoy it so much as I need it. While I'm working, I feel a kind of calm that rests in the pit of my ribcage. My soul just can't be soothed any other way, it seems, which I guess is about all that matters. Oh, that and a tidy couch. Would you straighten out the pillows on the sofa out here? Oh dear, looks like someone spilled a drink over by the couch. Maybe mop that up as long as you're over there. I feel compelled to share an incredibly cheesy personal insight. Are you okay with that? Make it especially cheesy. No. No, it was stupid, sorry. Never mind. Those dishes need to be washed. Why don't you come do that? I want to know the thoughts, though. Last I checked, the tub needed a cleaning. How about you scrub it down as best you can? No need to be perfect, we're all just human. Are there still books scattered on the floor of the bedroom? If so, would you put them back on the shelf? Perfect. Now then, how about you come and clear these dishes off the table?
After the intense set of prison games, This house cleaning level almost feels like cleansing. It's the moment after a particularly difficult or traumatic experience where you just need to let it sit and digest inside of you, and eventually cohere into something meaningful.
Why don't we be with the task at hand and leave the future chores to future you? Present you wants to smooth out the rug in the bedroom.
He called me up to ask me to come over and look at it. This was during a period of a few months where he was like grossly happy all the time, just walked around with a constant smile on his face.
Earlier, when I said I had a really cheesy thought, I was going to say that it occurs to me that one's house is a lot like one's soul. You take care of it, and it takes care of you. Don't know why I felt so weird about saying that. But there's a bit of truth in it, no? Anyway. So, housekeeping. Let's keep doing this. Books. Would you please clean up the books? Thanks. Oh goodness, those pillows over on the couch are a real mess. Would you go over and straighten them up a bit? Can't have these folks coming home to a messy couch. Question. Do you enjoy
Of
this?
course, it can't last. The music stops, your companion is gone, it's time to leave. The door at the top of the hill is now open as well. Again, you can't stay in the dark space for too long. You just can't. You have to keep moving. It's how you stay alive.
I didn't really want to leave there. I was enjoying that.
Which is the whole point of the puzzle doors, right? That sooner or later you have to pick up and move. I really thought that was the point of it.
September 2009.
This one gets a bit goofy.
Why did you come here today? Was it to improve your life? Was it to get a better job? Was it to make your relationships more meaningful? No. You came here to become perfect. This workshop is going to teach you how to be perfect. I want your friends, the people in your life, to look at you and think, wow, this person is a better human being than I am. Right now, who do you think about that way in your own life? Who do you know who is so well developed as a person that they make you feel disgusted with yourself? Compared to whom you feel useless, selfish, ungrateful. I intend to make you into that person. Perfection is within your grasp. And the question is not how do we do it, but how do we do it effortlessly? This is easy. It is so easy. It is so easy.
About halfway through the game,
Being perfect is effortless. This is the key. How do I achieve it with no effort? On the way to work, I told an elderly person to start contributing to
you play
society.
as the teacher.
Kids should not follow their
You
dreams.
discover that your teacher is just as bigoted and afraid as you are.
But let me tell you right now, if it isn't effortless, then it's not the right answer. I still love you, it's just that you make me feel cold on the inside. Being alone must be awful. Thank goodness all of you perceive me as being wise and intelligent. Drinking is not hurting my life. If you are torturing yourself trying to find the right solutions for your life, you're not doing it right. Do you understand that you won't be happy until you love me? This is for you. Seek out only one thing. What is the easiest, simplest path forward? You, I'm developing a cyst. Gross. Anyone want to do some ecstasy after this? There is no truth. There is no path. What if I'm not a good teacher? Do what is easiest. Do what is simplest. Feel what is true. Nothing. No one.
I felt pretty hard for this one.
Perfection.
I feel like it's one of the most relatable experiences that you can have. To assume that some other person is perfect and totally fulfilled in every way, and completely miss all of the little flaws that make them painfully human. I think about this game a lot these days.
January 2010.
This one took a lot longer than all the others for Coda to make. It was 4 months between this and the last one. That's twice as long as it took him to make any other game before this, and it's not like it's particularly complex, so I remember I found that a little strange at the time.
And it's a stage. Alright, the performance is beginning. Places, please. In this scene, you will be playing as me. We are at a gathering of professionals. First, you'll start off leaning against this wall. Good. Stay right there. The woman across the room in this chair is a professional photographer of animals. It's your dream to photograph animals professionally. This is your one chance to learn something from her, to gain something, to succeed. Go on, say something to her. Hello. Hello? That's it? That's not a conversation. You need to actually converse with her. Be a human being. Do it again. I'm super scared right now. I like you, or here are all of my hopes and dreams. No, that's not what I said to her at all. You're completely missing the tone of the conversation. I was reserved, but I knew what I wanted. I was confident. For some reason, it was just that one moment, but I was confident. Maybe it's that you need a better feel of the setting. There were a lot of people around us. I'll give you some props to work with. These cones that bounce when you touch them will represent the people nearby. Now talk to her again. You must have worked really hard to get where you are. I'll bet you've learned to lean into the pain. What are some sacrifices you've had to make? You're messing it all up again. You'll freak her out if the conversation gets that personal that quickly. Do you not realize how important this was for me? I'll never get another opportunity like this again. Everything was riding on this. I want to try something. Try stepping back from the stage. Okay, yes, now this is working. This is what it was like.
Eerie premonition of what's going to happen next in Coda's life. The solution to social anxiety.
It's perfect.
Fears of
Wonderful.
having to
This is
perform,
really
having to
wonderful.
chase success. The answer for Coda is to withdraw, to hide himself away, which is what leads to scenarios like the stairs that slowed you down several games
You're doing
ago,
great.
where it just becomes harder and harder to access Coda's inner landscape because he keeps retreating. He just keeps backing away from possible connections to anyone other than himself. And to be honest, I didn't consider it very helpful when I first played this game. You know, it looked to me like he was trying to justify the idea of just disconnecting yourself from the world. And that wasn't what I wanted for him or for his game. Because I feel like a lot of his games are inviting me to connect with this person, to bring him closer. But what can you do? After this, Coda went off and took another 5 months to make a new game.
To play this game properly, you must keep your eyes closed. Click to begin the game. My eyes are closed. Is there a place I can move to? I don't know.
You should probably open your eyes if you haven't already. It's pretty much impossible to solve otherwise. And there is a solution, by the way.
I can't see anything. Please, someone talk to me. The only way to stop it is to speak something that is honest. I can't keep making these. That's it. That's the truth. It's draining me.
I was getting concerned. First off, he's never been this explicit in his work about exactly what he's thinking. So where's that coming from? But
I can't figure out how to say the thing.
His work has potentially stopped being an outlet for him. Not like he's having trouble iterating on ideas, but he literally just can't think of new ideas anymore. And in person, he was being a lot more distant than usual. Like, you know how sometimes a person will just deflect anything that
We're going
you say
to be
in order
okay.
to keep themselves disconnected all the time? It was that kind of thing. Here was the point in my relationship with Koda where I really started to wonder if he needed my help in some way. His games are going to get more desperate from here on out. After this game, it's almost 6 months before he finishes something new.
December 2010. Hello? There's an ad break coming up. So I'm going to take a quick moment to just step away for a moment while those play. Again, like I said, this game does get very... From here on out, I do believe it gets a little more heavy. If you need to step away or you need to get water, I do suggest it. Thank you to everybody who's been resubscribing. I apologize that I don't have alerts set up yet, but that will come in time. And I appreciate all of you being here. I'll be back. Okay. The ads are over, so people will not miss more of the game. Let's continue. Where did this island come from? How do I get out of here? Or hello, is anyone there? Is that a person? How lovely. It's been a long time since I talked to anyone. What's wrong? You look lost. I'm completely out of ideas. When I try to create, I feel empty. I have nothing left to give to my work. Oh no. What's happened? Did something change? There was a machine that kept me going and it stopped. I'm trying to find this engine that used to protect me to start it again. Wait, you're looking for a machine? I think I know where it is. It isn't far. What? You have to take me to it. I need to see it to know why it stopped. I can take you to it, but there's a problem. It's guarded by a difficult puzzle. If you can help me solve the puzzle, we'll find the machine.
Turns it up to 11.
Deal?
Now, put yourself in my shoes playing this. Here's a friend whose work is exhibiting signs of struggle, frustration, anxiety, depression, even. And yet, still, he keeps making games. He keeps
Perfect.
throwing himself into the grinder.
Come along,
even when he
I'll show it to
clearly
you.
Doesn't have the energy for it anymore. Why? What is it for? Because, from my perspective at the time, and just what I knew of him, this was a result of how isolated he was. He was in his own little bubble, just sitting at his computer all day, not really showing these games to anyone, not releasing them onto the internet, and so he didn't have anyone outside of himself to connect with. He had no outlet to ground himself on.
Just press the switch here. That was so simple.
You can't talk yourself out of loneliness. It doesn't work that way. You can't be the one writing both the questions and the answers. Then there's no movement. Then there's no circulation. If all of your anxieties are being channeled into your work, then if the work ever fails, you have no backup and you're just going to crash.
You have to say that your work is fun and easy. You have to say that game development is simple and joyous and that you love it 100% of the time. Making games is simple. Why did I feel so awful when I said that? Don't worry about it. Just keep talking. Keep saying that creation is easy. Constantly excited and enthusiastic about my work. Yes, that's wonderful.
Seeing this game at the time that he made it, it looked really unhealthy to me. I was watching him do this to himself, and I hated it. I hated seeing him so trapped.
Never stop creating and you'll never feel bad.
Video games are not worth this amount of suffering. This is someone I really cared about. And I used to get so much joy out of seeing him create. For him to suddenly become angry and frustrated like this, it was the worst thing for me.
Any sacrifices made for my work are worth it 100% of the time. Pain breezes effortlessly off me. It always pays off eventually.
I don't know. This is what I felt at the time. I don't know how else to explain it. I wanted it to stop more than anything. I had never felt so rotten. I needed more than I had ever needed anything for this to stop. But it didn't stop. After finishing this one, Coda takes another 7 months and comes up with a new game.
May 2011. The Machine. Ma'am, glad to see you've arrived safely. We've captured the machine. It's waiting for you now. You can begin the interrogation whenever you'd like. Very good. Just be warned that someone called the press, so we might have a bit of attention on this one. Also, one more thing that you should know about the machine. It calls itself Coda. Will it be punished? Is it actually a machine? What will be done with the machine? Where is the machine now? What can you tell us? What are your next actions? What will you do with it? Please give us answers. You know where the poisonous games have come from. You stopped.
And of course, it's the machine.
You stopped feeding us. Your work was keeping us alive. Your work was keeping us healthy. Those people out there, can you imagine what pain you've put them through? It was only because of your creations that any of us could make it through every day. How could we possibly go back to trusting you to do this job? But here's what needs to happen. You need to go to the people who are out there and apologize to them. You have to admit to the people that you've allowed them to suffer. I've been so alone. Apologize for leaving me. No? Nothing? Think carefully. I know how to hurt you. I have seen the thing you fear. Alright then. I will apologize to the people on your behalf. Falls on me to deliver bad news. The machine will not apologize to us. But this is not important. We are stronger than it thinks we are. We will find a way to live without it. We do not need its games. Let us pay it retribution. Let us show it that we are not failures. Follow me, we will destroy the machine. Or follow me, we will destroy everything that the machine has created. I don't like either of those options. That what you're scared of? Exposed to the view of others every day, forever, seen in naked clarity?
So now the work is becoming self-destructive. And I'll tell you, at the time that I first played this game, shortly after he made it, here's what I'm thinking to myself. I'm thinking that Code is stuck in his own head, and that it's having a very negative effect on him, and that all he needs to do is just start showing his work to people, to get some actual feedback on his games. It might get him out of isolation. And so, as I'm thinking this, I realize that I could be the one to initiate it. Because it would never occur to Coda to start actively soliciting feedback, so what if I did it for him? If he could see the difference it would make to have more actual conversations with other human beings, would that bring him out of his mental spiral? Would it give him confidence in himself? Would it bring meaning back into his work? So I started showing Coda's work to people. I took this one, and the islands which you just played, the theater, the notes, the house cleaning game, and some of the prison escape games. I brought them to people that I knew and trusted. I asked their opinions. And the great part is that they really loved his games. You know, the point of it all is just to give him some external reference point, but they genuinely loved his work. There was nothing for him to be afraid of.
Put down your weapon. There is no other option.
Can you see why I felt like this was the right thing to do? Because it's the thing that I always feel like I need, to be told that my work is good, that I am good. When someone really connects with a thing that I've made, when they see themselves purely in my work, there's nothing that feels better. And I got to give that very same feeling to my friend. I did something... I really felt like I'd done something good, like I was a good person. I felt like there was a friend who was in trouble and was unhappy and maybe didn't like themselves, and I could fix it. If I could give him this gift, maybe I could fix the problem. When they told me how much they enjoyed his games, it was the best feeling. It was the absolute best feeling. It made me feel so happy. So beautifully, beautifully happy. So anyway, Coda finishes this game, and then really he just kind of takes off for a while. So this is June of 2011, and I didn't hear anything from him for several weeks, I guess. And so out of nowhere, one day I get an email, and it's got a private link to a new game of Coda's. This one is called The Tower, and to my knowledge, it's the last game that Coda ever made. So let's take a look.
June 2011. The Tower.
And this is where I have trouble saying anything meaningful about Coda's work. Because more than anything else, the tower just feels distant. It feels like it's trying to distance itself from the world. It's a very cold game.
It does feel cold.
This room actually has a maze in it. Except that all the walls of the maze are invisible. And then every time you touch one of the walls, there's this awful flashing and noise, so the experience is really miserable. The game goes beyond not being meant to be played, it actually seems to despise the player for trying to play it at all. But I do want to show you the rest of the level, so when you're ready to continue, press enter and I'll put a bridge over the maze.
I didn't go back into it because I didn't want more of that flashing. And I forgot to give a proper warning for that, so I apologize. I have played this game before.
It's not like this is the first game that's needed some modification to be playable. Like the house cleaning game. You know, that one used to actually loop the cleaning chores and you just cleaned a house forever. I had to cut it off so that you could exit the house and the game would actually end. But that game had an idea that it was actually trying to communicate. What's the deeper idea behind the invisible maze? The only way past this challenge is to randomly guess the 6-digit code. Like the invisible maze, it's frustrating to me, because it's the opposite of everything else that Coda has made. It doesn't encourage thought or engagement. It doesn't ask anything of me, except a lot of my time. If I could have reached him during this time, then maybe I could have asked him, but I couldn't. I still don't really understand why this is here. I'll put the code on the ground for you here, though, so that we can move on.
Oh, went past it. 617. Oh, that was already on 6.
The switch to open this door is actually on the other side of the door, meaning that it's literally impossible to solve from this side. So even if you somehow brute forced your way through the first 2 challenges and you got to this point, there's actually just no way to progress. And it's scary for me, the idea of Coda cutting himself off entirely, just saying, that's it, that's the end of the conversation, not giving me any way to fix the problem. I feel like a failure, I guess, when I can't fix the problem. But I can open this door for you, so let me do that. Was I a failure for not understanding this game? I don't know why I would be. It's not like everything needs to have a solution, but I feel it somehow. I feel like I failed, and I don't understand why. I remember, it's June of 2011. I'm playing this for the very first time. And as I'm playing, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know this person. I have no idea who this person is. It wasn't the guy I knew, it wasn't my friend. I had come to so many conclusions from looking at all of his work up to this point, and then suddenly none of them... I had been trying to, though. That was the thing. For years, I was trying to get to know him, to understand who he actually was and what he stood for. I asked him so many times to please just tell me what his games mean to him. I asked him please to tell me what the 3 dots mean. And he wouldn't. I just felt so strongly that if I could have connected with him, that if I could have somehow made his work my own, that I would finally be once and for all happy. It was that I needed to see myself in someone else. I needed to be someone other than me. But he stopped and left, and it felt somehow like I had failed. Where did I screw up?
Dear Davy, thank you for your interest in my games. I need to ask you not to speak to me anymore.
I'm the reason that you stopped making games, aren't I? It's because of what I did. I poisoned it for you. I don't think I ever told you this, but when I took your work and I was showing it to people, it actually felt... it felt as though I were responsible for something important and valuable.
Wonder at times whether you think I am making these games for you. You've so infected my personal space that it's possible I did begin to plant solutions in my work somewhere, hidden between games.
And
if there was an
the
answer,
people who
a
played
meaning,
them,
would it make
they
you any
treated
happier?
me like I was important. They really listened and cared about what I had to say. Even though I was showing your work, it was... I felt good about myself. Finally. For a moment, while I had that, I liked myself.
Would you stop taking my games and showing them to people against my wishes? Giving them something that is not yours to give, violating the one boundary that keeps me safe. Would you stop changing my games? Stop adding lampposts to them? Would you simply
And
let
then
them
you
be what
stopped.
they are?
And I didn't have anything left to show people. I just had to be with myself. And as soon as that happened, there was no feeling at all. Nothing. Less than nothing. What does that mean?
When I am around you, I feel physically ill. You desperately need something, and I cannot give it to you. I literally do not have it. Struggling to come up with new ideas is not making me depressed. Low points are just a part of the process. The fact that you think that I am frustrated or broken says more about you than about me. I realize that this doesn't make sense to you just yet. Which is fine. You're not my problem to solve. But I do hope that one day it clicks, and that you make peace with this thing you are wrestling.
I'm afraid that I did something really stupid because I don't like myself.
And when you finally see what I am talking about, don't say anything.
That's why I'm releasing this collection of your work, is because I haven't been able to find any other way to reach you. I've tried everything. And so a part of me has hope that if I put this compilation out into the world, and if I put my name on it, that maybe enough people will play it so that it'll find its way to you, so that I can tell you that I'm sorry. I know I screwed up. If I apologize to you truly and deeply, will you start making games again? Please, I need to feel okay with myself again. And I always felt okay as long as I had your work to see myself in. I mean, is something wrong with me? Because I know that I did an awful thing, and I'm doing it again right now. Like, I'm showing people your work, but I can't stop myself from doing it. That's how badly I need to feel something again, like I'm an addict. There has to be something wrong with me. Can I apologize? What if I tell you I was wrong? Will that work? Will that fix it? I don't know. I don't think it will, but there's nothing else that I can do. Just tell me what you want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, start making games again. Please help me. Please give me some of whatever it is that makes you complete. I want whatever that wholeness is that you just summoned out of nothing and you put into your work. You were complete in some way that I never was. I want to know I want to know how to be a good person. I want to know how not to hate myself. Please. I'm fading, and all I want is to know that I'm going to be okay.
Epilogue. Seems to be a train station. Sure enough.
More love, more praise, more people telling me that I'm good. Always more. It's like a disease. Solution. I guess if someone had told me ahead of time that he just really enjoyed making prison games, maybe I wouldn't have thought he was so desperate. I wouldn't have told so many people that he was depressed. Maybe he just likes making prisons. Even now, the disease is telling me to stop. Don't show people what a shitty person you are. They'll hate you.
I feel that this relates very strongly to content creators. You create content of any kind. This resonates. Or it should. At least a little.
If I knew that my life depended on finding something to be driven by other than validation, what would that even be? It's strange, but the thought of not being driven by external validation is unthinkable. Like, I actually cannot conceive of what that would be like.
I understand.
What now?
All too well, in fact.
I think I need to go. And I'm sorry, because I know that I said that I would be here and I would walk you through this, but I'm starting to feel like I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot that I need to make up for. And so I'm just gonna... Okay.
Now we are left alone. Continue to wander where this is. Wherever this may be. Make our own choices. Choose our own path. Despite it seeming relatively linear. No longer have a narrator. We're back in the station from the beginning of this part. Your body can disrupt the flow of the beam, it said at the beginning, when we first walked into this. And there it is. And that's the whole game.
Turn back from this cave.
people will take different meaning from the game, and I believe it is up to your own personal interpretations. But it is something I think everyone should think on. And really give it some thought. Especially in terms of the internet and the grind culture and things such as that. Anyways, that is the beginner's guide. That is the entire game. Appreciate you all watching. Thank you so much for everybody who dropped follows or bits or gifteds or resubs during that. I do appreciate it very much. Again, I apologize there are no alerts right now. But I will be streaming again soon. I don't know when, but I did want to play this game sooner rather than later. So, I appreciate you all coming out to the stream. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and enjoy drifting.